Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel, Stamper Kitty, or I should say at Stamper Kitty 2993. My name is Kat, and thank you for joining me to learn how to make this pop-up card with a special mechanism. It's not like a traditional pop-up card, which normally is just a box. I've added a few more score lines so that when it opens, it will be tipped more than just being straight. Okay, so thank you for joining me. This particular card is made using the dies called branching out dies. I've already taken out the two that we need, the two smallest. We're using the foliage from here, from the Grateful Blessings stamp set, and then also the Happy Birthday from With You in Mind. And I'm going to turn the camera around, so you're going to want to close your eyes for a moment. And I need to apologize in advance because my kitty is joining me or joining us. He wants to be a part of this, so bear with me. He's walking away. Who knows? He might join us yet again. So let's turn the camera around. Close your eyes for a moment. And here we go. All right. And I feel like this is a little bit crooked. Let me pull this. There we go. Okay, we can deal with this. All right. Although when I'm stamping, I don't want it to be crooked. So I apologize. It's been a while since I've done videos, and it's always a learning curve as to what to do and how to do it. So I have my notes here. And by the way, this pretty paper came from Stampin' Up, and it's already been retired, so I'm not even going to name it. However, any type of pretty paper that you have, it wouldn't have to necessarily be flowers. It can be anything of a small print and design that's going to be used. But for tonight, we're using this, and it retired since I've made this card. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. So there's a few things that you need to know about this that are very, very important, or else it's not going to work. Okay. The first and most important thing for you to know is when we glue, adhere this paper to our card, we only want to glue the perimeter because we are going to cut this out and we're going to have this green piece yet to use. Okay. So that's why we're only going to glue around the perimeter. Now, one tip that I have is you don't want to have it loose either in the middle. So if you wanted, you could absolutely just lay this down, okay? Lay it down and then do your gluing, and you could get a little closer to the edge of the inside. I usually recommend pulling your glue. This is our liquid glue. You'll notice I'm leaving, oops, that's not good, about a 1/4 inch from the edge. And I want to get the glue off of that because it's going to be sticky. Okay. All right. And I'm going to lay this back down. I'm going to hold it with my finger so it doesn't go flying. Again, in case I bump it. Okay. Maybe Zero the kitty will join us again. I don't know. Hard to say. But I definitely want to have some glue here. Okay. But definitely not through the middle. So there we go. Now I'm going to pick this up. Trying to avoid getting it in the glue. I'm getting really good at that. Okay. Make sure I've got the orientation for my card correct, and also my paper. And this cardstock is Old Olive. It's a 1/2 sheet of cardstock, so it's 8.5 wide and 5.5 inches tall if we were to do the measuring. So just to show you again, 5.5 inches tall by 8.5 inches wide, and then I've scored it at 4 1/4. Okay. All right. So there we go. That's that part. Next, what we're going to do is our die cutting, and I am going to show this to you. Okay. Goodness gracious. All right. It is a little sticky. I need to get out a adhesive remover. I don't want it to stick to the paper or to tear it. So I just want to pull this off real quick. Okay. And here's some more. Okay, good enough. All right, set this off to the side. Let me grab my die cutting machine. And what we're going to do, I want to get this centered, and then I am going to use some mint tape, which I got several years ago from scrapbook.com. But if you don't have mint tape or 3M tape, 3M is a tacky tape. It's, I believe, usually yellow, which you can find on Amazon or Walmart.com. You could use Post-it notes. They work equally well. Okay. So I'm going to have this up just not quite centered, going up and down. I want to have it up just a little bit higher. Actually, that is pretty centered. I take that back. Okay, it's been a while since I've made this card, so let me get my head in here. Apologize. I just want to make sure I get this done right. Okay, here we go. And I'll grab the other piece of tape and put that down. Take a look. It needs to move over just a smidge. Always double check. It's kind of like when doing carpentry, measure twice, cut once. So that looks pretty good to me. Okay. Make sure to open up your card, because you definitely don't want to cut. And if you have our die cutting machine, you have your base, which is a number 1. Then you have number 2. And the reason I like our die cutting machine is it has pictures here. It's almost idiot proof, almost, not quite, but almost. All right. And then you have your clear plate, which is a number 3. All right. And then we have another clear plate on top. And then I'm just going to push it in, and you can't see the handle, but once the handle grabs, and make sure you're straight on, because you don't want to rub it along the sides of the machine. Okay. Now we're going to go through and put this down for a moment. Okay. Now we're going to pull this up. And did you notice how quiet that was? Our machine is so quiet. It rarely makes any popping or cracking noises, unlike a lot of the machines out there. But so I'm able to do my paper crafting at night, even though my husband might be asleep. So, okay. And yes, this is a little sticky from the glue that got on here, so I'm going to have to work on this some more later on. Okay. And I forgot to mention which dies these are from here. If you can see. All right. So we used the second largest to do the cut on the card itself, and then we're going to use the smallest to do our sentiment. Okay, so let me set this off to the side. We will stamp our sentiment, and we can save this for another card or another project. Okay, and move this. We're going to have to die cut it out. Set that off to the side. Find my little piece. You could use any size scrap. I just want to make sure it's big enough. So this particular one happens to be like 4 1/4 by like 2 3/4. Nothing major there. Okay. And I'm using the old olive green because it matches the card base. There's a lot of old olive and darker greens. You could probably use just about any green that you would like, but I'm going to go use the old olive. And we're going to use the happy birthday. So let's ink her up. And I do recommend, grab my Stampin' Pierce mat. It's a dense foam because photopolymer does not have any foam on it like red rubber does to give. So I recommend you place everything on top of here, on top of your mat, so that it gives it a better, what's the word I'm looking for? That cushion allows to get a proper image on here, and you can always practice. And that looks really good. So I'm going to ink it up again. I'm just going to walk it across. Kind of walk, walk, walk. Okay. And here we go. Voila. So let me clean that real quick. Now, while I've got this open, yeah, I'm not stamping anything else in green. It's kind of like a standalone card. So let me grab this. And now that I have the smaller one, just double check. Yes, it's the smaller one. And I'm going to put it on here. Get it centered. And grab my mint tape again to hold it down. So that looks pretty good. I don't think anybody would complain if it's a wee bit crooked or not. I'll apologize. Getting the camera wire in the way. Okay. So here we go. It's the same sandwich that we had before, the base with the 2 and a clear plate. And what I recommend to prevent our dies from warping, because going straight through can put a lot of pressure on them, I recommend you go at an angle. That takes some of the pressure off of them, and it will keep them straighter longer. Okay? And we're just going to roll this through. And these dies are wonderful. What makes them so special is, and I'm going to show it to you in just a second here. I'll pull this off. Is these particular dies not only cut, but they also add a stitched look. See if you can see that. See if my camera can give it a moment to focus. Oh, no, it's not showing up too good. I don't know why. I need to turn it down. There, now you can kind of see the etching. It's a little harder to see. It's a little blurry, but it's etched around the edge like somebody had sewn on it. Okay, so, and you can see that here in the die as well. Okay, set this off to the side. Next, what we're going to do, that's it for die cutting, quick and easy. Next thing we need to do is I will go ahead and glue this to the green. Okay, all right. Maybe it shows up a little better on the green, the stitching. They do all the stitching all the way around. Get this adhered. And if you wanted, you could even use a dimensional to pop up the sentiment a little more. But with the special mechanism that we're using, I elect not to do that because I think it would get a little bit too thick going through the mail if you wanted to mail this. So sometimes you have to be careful with the post office because they can add a bigger charge, like up to another $1 if they have to hand stamp instead of using a machine to stamp this. Now for the mechanism, I've done some extra scoring because traditionally you just make a box when you do a pop-up card, but I have added some extra score lines here, and let me tell you about those score lines. It's easy to lose things on my desk. I was looking for my ruler. Okay, so this is Old Olive cardstock. On my sample, I used white because I wanted you guys to be able to see it better. Okay, but I prefer to use the green because then it will blend in better. So this particular piece is 2 3/4 inches wide, and it is 4 inches long. I have scored it at 1 inch, 1 3/4, 2 inches, 2 3/4, and 3 inches. Just to recap, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, and then we have the 1 3/4 and 2 3/4. Okay, that we've scored. And what, by doing that extra scoring here, you definitely want to take your bone folder and make sure that you have scored, not only scored it, but that you go back over to your bone folder to get a really good crease, because that crease allows it to, instead of just being a box, it will allow the card, the sentiment, to do more of a tip when you go out like this. Otherwise, it would just be straight up and down. And I think the tip, by it tipping, it looks a little nicer. Okay, and it's just something different. So now I've put a note on here. This is the top. How do you know where you should, which, because we have the two little pieces that are scored, the two smaller sections here. You can see it better here on the white. Okay, so scored at 1, 2, and 3, and then the extra scores 1 3/4, 2 3/4. Okay, so anyway, you want the piece that's a little bit scored toward the top, this pink section here. Okay, so when you go to glue this, you got to stop. Can't glue it yet because we have to have the inside of the card. So this is our basic white cardstock. I would like to have a little perimeter around it to continue showing off the Old Olive around it. So it's 5 1/4 wide by 4 inches tall. And that I'm just going to stamp the Happy Birthday was the With You in Mind stamp set. The Grateful Blessings, I just wanted this little greenery or foliage. And a little tip with this is I am going to be using our Blackberry Bliss, which can be very, very dark. If you don't like it really dark, you could stamp it a second time and make it lighter. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that for you. I'll just turn this over. Oh, never mind. Okay, here we go. I'm going to stamp it first, and then without re-inking, you can stamp it a second time. And either color works well because you have the lighter pink here, it goes with that, and the darker pink here with the darker center. So it's kind of like whatever, it's your card, make it your way. So you do what you like. Okay. Now, something I should note is when you go to stamp on here, you have to allow room for your sentiment here. Okay, so you don't want it like right here because it'll get covered up. You absolutely could go off to the side and go off of it, but this way it still allows room to write a personal note. Okay, and I think on this particular card, I am going to go ahead and stamp it twice. And the other thing I should note is I stamped it a little bit off the bottom. I didn't do it all the way on. As a matter of fact, okay, walk it across. I am going to come down. You can see this. I'm going to come down so it doesn't stick up so high. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to stamp off a layer once and then twice. There we go. Now you can see the difference here. Okay. Since I have this ink pad out, I am going to go ahead and ink up an envelope. Just remember, when sending a card through the mail, the post office does not like anything to be in this area because they do their barcoding there. And so I stamped off a layer of ink, and I'm just going to do this one time. So it's a little bit paler. You absolutely could be stamping on the back. This time I elect not to. Okay, that part is done. Our stamping's done. Really, this card is actually pretty easy. It takes longer to do the die cutting. That actually takes the longest of anything. So I can just move this off to the side. Actually, I'll leave it here because we're going to glue this on. So when gluing with liquid glue, if you pull it, you'll get a finer bead of glue. It won't be so thick. Keep pulling. And then I tend to do just an X. You can go around the center if you like. Okay. And I leave like a 1/4 inch around it. Okay, can you see that? All right. And make sure I got the card right. Here we go. There we go. Now for the mechanism. Truly, it's not hard. It's just kind of intimidating. That's all. I'm going to fold it in half. And I think I'm going to go ahead and glue the top first. I'll bring a note over here. Only this, where the first crease is at, I'm only going to glue there. You absolutely could do top and bottom at the same time, but I'm a little bit risk adverse, so I want to make sure I get this centered, so I couldn't do both top and bottom at the same time. Okay. Now I should make a note. You don't want to glue from like right here down. You don't glue there, only from there up. Because this part of this crease, you can see it here, all right, is there. Okay, so now this should be centered. Yep, it is. Now we can go ahead and glue the bottom. The bottom panel. And I'm just going to fold this over. And I'm going to close it. Okay, and I'm just going to hold it for a moment. Okay. Okay. Now the fourth time, to glue this on, you're going to glue 2, 3, 4. Oh, my pencil broke. Here we go. Oh, I have a note here. The glue here for the sentiment is this section right here. Okay. So let me grab my liquid glue. Someday I might learn how to edit videos, but you know, live with bloopers can be kind of fun. So what I want to do is push this down so I know I'm in the die cut area, and then I'm just going to lay it down. And then if you want, you can open this. You can push it down just a smidge if you like, but not too far. You got to make sure it stays straight. And you got to make sure it's inside this area so it doesn't catch. Okay, it's not hard, I promise. You just lay it inside and you should be just fine. Okay, press down a little bit. Might turn it over. Okay, burnish it on there. So now when it opens, then you might want to press this down a little bit more. You can see how this mechanism allows for it to tip more. Okay, so you get a bigger tip, but it also allows it to close. Okay, So there you go. This is our pop-up card with the special mechanism that I designed. So thank you for joining me. Have a blessed day.